Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. This is Mary Moibiel, the Autistic Astrologer. And today we are going to talk about the new moon that's happening in Libra on October 6th, 2021. If you have, if you're following me on social media, you have probably seen that I have revamped my Patreon to really center around the moon and how we can work with the moon, along with a lot of other healing stuff, but it really does center around the moon. So the stuff that we'll talk about here today will go more in depth in that type of stuff and how it will interact with you and all kinds of other things on my Patreon. So if you're interested in that, it is patreon.com/mmhealing. You can find the direct link in the description. So today, I have taken a little bit of a hiatus on posting so much. I've been going through some of my own transitions and things. Astrologers are not, we don't get to skip out on the transits. Like, this stuff is happening to all of us at the same time, astrologers included. So it is nice to have, the awareness of what's happening in the cosmos, but it definitely doesn't mean that we don't go through the same stuff. So I've been doing some transitions and some healing and some evolving of my own over the last couple months. And so I appreciate you still being here, although the stuff that I've been posting has definitely bumped down over the last couple of months, but I'm hoping to get back on track with that. And again, like I said, really focusing on the shift and the change that I made to Patreon. I'll be moving a lot of my work there for multiple reasons, but if you like the free information that I give out and you just want to kind of give me a financial high five, there are tiers for that on Patreon as well. And I always appreciate it. You can also, Vend me tips or anything when you watch these videos and you find something that resonates for you and you just want to send me a tip or something. All of my Venmo and PayPal and information can be found in the description in the link tree that I will tag down there for you. So that being said, what is this new moon in Libra about? So this new moon in Libra is at 13 degrees. So the first thing you're going to want to do in your own chart is find 13 degrees of Libra. See what house that rules for you. And that's going to give you a better idea of how this is working for you specifically. We will get into that in the Patreon. So again, if you're interested in going deeper into this and how it can show up specifically in your life, we can talk about that further on Patreon, but this is just a general reading. So remember, when we do general readings, this information and this energy is going to be different based on your specific natal chart. So take what resonates and kind of leave the rest, and then join me over on Patreon if you want to get, dig deeper into how this can show up for you. So again, it's 13 degrees Libra. And this moon, a Libra new moon is normally very peaceful, very calm. We're seeking balance with Libra. We're seeking justice and equality. And this is normally a very harmonious sign. But currently, for this new moon, we have the sun conjunct the sun and the moon are conjunct. That's what a new moon is, but it's also conjunct Mars. So Mars is also there at 13 degrees of Libra. And what that means, it brings this aggression, it brings this pressure. And you may or may not be feeling that pressure kind of building under the surface, either for you or people around you or the collective in general. That's going to be a theme that we see all the way through the month of October. And again, I'll be doing deeper cosmic updates and planetary check-ins on Patreon. So if you want to go deeper, check me out there. But, there's this building pressure, this building tension in the collective. And so that kind of puts a spin on this new moon, and it makes it a little bit less easy and a little bit more direct, a little bit more emotional, right? Normally the full moons are the very emotional moons, and the new moons are much more internal and quiet and calm. But with Mars being there, it has a tendency to really combust that energy, almost like a pressure cooker. So one of the invitations that I'm giving for this new moon is to really center into trying to find your patience, one, and two, allowing this energy to have a place to go. right? Because otherwise there's a tendency, because on this same day, Pluto is also stationing direct, which brings more intensity and more power struggles and more struggles around control. And again, we'll get into that more later here and on Patreon, but there are these really intense energies happening. So my invitation is to find a place to outlet some of that energy, because otherwise we have this pressure cooker effect where we're trying to hold everything in. And then all of a sudden, this energy needs someplace to go. And this could be a sudden, quick, like lightning bolt action happening, because this new moon is also quincunx to Uranus at 13 degrees. It's an exact quincunx to Uranus at 13 degrees. And so that brings this, quincunxes are uncomfortable. They're frustrating. They're irritating. And so there is all of this irritation and frustration that we've been feeling building. And then on this day, it has the opportunity to kind of combust. And so again, my invitation here is to give that energy an outlet somewhere. And that's going to look different for everyone. But so let's skip back a little bit. I know I threw a lot of like transits at you and planets and what's going on, and that can be very confusing. So let's just start with what we do on a new moon, right? So a new moon is often a time where we start a new cycle. We like to plant seeds, either consciously or subconsciously. We are planting seeds for the next cycle. So, with a new moon, it's a good time to turn inward, try to find some kind of clarity, try to like tarot readings. It's a really good time to do a tarot reading for a new moon, to find clarity around something. And I will be posting a new moon in Libra tarot spread just for my Patreon. It'll be exclusive there. So if you're interested in that, new moons are also a really good time to meditate or to journal, and just kind of ponder some things. Like, again, new moons are very inward. New moons are a time to seek and find clarity in the darkness of the new moon. We just got out of like a releasing cycle from the last 2 weeks, from the full moon to the new moon. We've been releasing. So now we have this space to kind of get clarity or get insight on something. And so meditating or journaling or tarot or divining of any kind is really nice under a new moon. This is also a time where you can do some kind of seed planting ritual. I will also be posting an exclusive ritual on the Patreon if you're interested in that. And so this is a good time to do any kind of rituals about starting a new project, or it's Libra, so starting a new relationship or a new creative passion or hobby of some sort. Is all, beautiful energy to do that as well. And, just really pondering the question in your own life. And again, finding where, what house Libra rules may help in this, kind of inward journey to figure out what's coming up for you based on your chart and your experience. But, just pondering the question of, what do you want to grow in your life? What do you want to harvest in your life? This is a time to start kind of planting those seeds. And it can be, when I say planting seeds, it can be as much as, saying it out loud, or writing it down in a journal, or making some kind of creative like vision board, or like a tarot spread, and putting that tarot spread into action, like bringing that to life in some way. And so there's so many ways to get creative with new moon stuff. But again, keeping in mind that this new moon can be combustible. There is Mars there. So there may be a want to kind of put that stuff into action right away. Like, that's one of the frustrating, irritating things that we're feeling, because of all the planets that are still retrograde. All the outer planets are still retrograde until the 6th, when Pluto turns direct, but it's still moving so slow that it doesn't even move for weeks off of, like the 22 degree mark. And so things are moving slow. So again, finding an outlet for the energy, but recognizing it might not be like an actionable plan that gets done, as much as just, I need to get this energy out somehow. So I go on a walk, or I go work out, or I play, outside with my kids, or, like whatever that is. And again, that could just look like meditating, right? Sometimes that allows us to move our energy. Every person's different. So find what works for you, and we can chat more about it on the side if you're interested. But so with this new moon, it's in Libra. So let's tie in the Libra aspects, right? Balance, relationships, communication. We have Mercury in retrograde in Libra. So we're reprocessing and reprogramming and figuring out which narratives in our world no longer fit, what beliefs aren't ours, and we're kind of shifting that. So there's a whole Mercury retrograde thing that I posted on Healing Services YouTube if you're interested. And then an exclusive on my Patreon that you'll get if you go over there. So not going to get too much into Mercury retrograde here, but it is relative because it is happening in the same sign as the new moon. And those themes all kind of shift and change, and they're all there together. So it's important to recognize that we do have a Mercury retrograde. So again, bringing that communication piece even deeper into that like internal kind of processing and pondering that we're doing during the new moon already. So some of the themes that come up with a Libra new moon are, how are you balancing your needs with the needs of others in your life, right? How are you balancing things in your life? Again, looking to where Libra and Aries fall in your chart, and how are you balancing those themes, but also all the themes in your life, right? Like Libra is balance, especially balance with relationships, especially balance with partnerships. And so it's this, how are you balancing your needs in order to show up for others? And how can you balance beauty? Because Libra is also very much tied to the beauty in things and the love that we see in all of those things. So how can you balance beauty in such an ugly world, right? So many of us over the last couple years have really seen some ugliness that maybe we didn't recognize before, or were too shut off to see, or to, whatever we want to call that, but we didn't see it before, and now we do. And it's really hard sometimes to turn that off and see the little pieces of beauty and harmony and joy in our lives. And so right now is also a time to question and ponder how we're able to recognize and be grateful for the beauty and the joy and the love in the world, while also holding space and holding people accountable for the terrible things that are happening in the world, right? Both things are here, both things are active. And how can we balance those things in our daily life so that neither of them kind of sweep us up, right? We don't ignore the negative and the hard stuff, but we also don't forget about the beautiful and the easy stuff either. So finding that balance under this new moon is also, an opportunity for us. So outside of the new moon stuff and the new moon and Libra stuff, we have all of these other things that are happening on the 6th as well. So we have Mars there. We kind of already talked about that. It has this like combustion ability. We have Mercury retrograde, which means we're reprocessing things, right? So a lot of how we communicate with ourselves, how we communicate with others, how we show up for ourselves, how we're able to listen to others and take in information. And then we also have Chiron that's in Aries. So it's opposite the new moon. And so with all of that information, sorry if you hear my dogs like clicking and whatever, they're busy. But we have Chiron, which is the wounded healer, opposite. So there's an opportunity for healing that comes with this moon as well. So just a side note onto that. And then we have Pluto that is stationing direct on the 6th, which means there's deep intensity, a strong ability to become like obsessive on something. And again, tying this to what it's doing with Mercury, and I'm not going to get into it too much here because there's a whole other video about it, but this can be like obsessed about finding the truth or digging up the truth or bringing the truth to light, not being able to let something go are all themes that can come up here as well. This can also be a power struggle. This can be pondering where we give up our own power, where we limit ourselves, right? Because Saturn is not far away. So all of these things are active and possible to come up for us, again, depending on our own charts and how these transits are influenced by our chart, all matters as well. And then we also have Uranus. So we have that quincunx to Uranus, which is frustrating. That quincunx to Uranus, which really could have a shock factor. Like we could sit down and do a tarot reading or sit down to meditate and really just have this like shocking realization, or we can witness someone else have some kind of shocking realization. With Mars and Libra, it's really interesting. There was a conversation on the astrology podcast, which discussed how Mars and Libra is really trying to figure out how to toe the line socially, to get things done without just powering through, because Mars really is like, you know what, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do it. And I don't care who's in my way, what's in my way, I'm doing it. Right. And being in Libra, it's really asking it like, okay, but can you kind of look around and see what that's doing to everyone else? Like, is there a way for you to, kind of bring in those around you as well and hear their perspectives and understand their story in this as well, instead of just kind of overpowering. So the other thing with Mars in Libra is it can be passive aggressive. So we're balancing passive aggressiveness versus aggression or assertion, right? Like we want to be assertive. We want to stand our ground. We don't want to fold. We don't want to people please, right? We don't want to be passive aggressive. We want to be able to be assertive in this world, in our stance and where we stand and what we want to get done. And so Mars in Libra is really feeling out that energy. But Uranus with that quincunx is annoying. It's frustrating. It's just feeling off. So all of these energies together with the intensity of Pluto and the fact that this Mars is being ruled by Venus, which is in Mars's sign of Scorpio. So that just brings another added level of fieriness. Again, there are so many different energies, and we're going to get into it a little bit more on my Patreon, and I'm going to drop all of those, like the tarot spread. I'm going to drop the seed planting ritual there as well. So if you're interested in that, we would love to have you there. I'd be honored, and I'm always grateful to build that community there as well. So, but my invitation generally for this is take time to yourself to try to ponder some of these questions, whether that's in meditation, whether that's in tarot, whether that's in journaling, whether that's in having a conversation with someone that you trust, whether that's coming onto Patreon and having a conversation there and working it through together, whether that's sitting with your natal chart and digesting where Libra is in your chart and just kind of like taking that time. Like, you're going to be planting seeds for this new moon regardless, whether you actively do it or not. So based on what we talked about here, what resonates for you? What of those things are like, oh yeah, I see that pattern in my life. Oh yeah, that's something that I really do want to navigate. Oh, that's a question that has been coming up for me a lot. Those are the things that you want to ponder during this new moon. Those are the things that you want to attach yourself to. And again, going back to how can you balance your own needs with the needs of others? And so maybe you're planting seeds around honoring your needs, right? Because again, this is that balance between showing up for everyone else, but we can't do that. We can't do it well if we're not showing up for ourselves. And that's one of the questions here, right? Another thing with Mercury in retrograde is, planting seeds around living your authentic truth, speaking your authentic truth out loud all the time, holding people accountable in your life that are doing harm. Like, even if it's passively doing harm, right? We are holding those people accountable. So maybe this is a time, because Libra is all about justice. It's all about equality. It's all about standing up for what it is that you believe in and standing up for your community and standing up for your people. And so maybe this is a time where you plant seeds to stand in your truth, right? To release the shame and the guilt and the programs that have been put on us by society. So maybe those are the seeds that you're planting, and that can look in so many different ways. Again, you know, but get creative with how you kind of think about using this moon. And feel free to reach out to me. Even if you don't follow me on Patreon, you can always find me on social media, at The Autistic Astrologer or at MM Healing Services on Facebook, YouTube, or on Instagram. Well, I'm also on Twitter, but not very much. But you can reach out to me there, and I'll help you with the time and space that I have as well with any questions that you have. So, you know, I hope that this was helpful for you, and I hope that I see you on my Patreon, or at least see you on my social media platform soon, and we can chat a little bit more. And like I said, I'm honored to answer any questions that you have about this moon and how it might play out for you. And you know, join my conversations on my Instagram stories. I'm often asking how you're feeling with transits, and you know, I love to hear from you, and I love to be connected with you. And Libra season is all about connecting with other people. And so I look forward to seeing you, chatting with you, talking to you soon. And I hope that you have a wonderful new moon in Libra.